Hello and welcome back to another episode of Aviation Tutorial. I'm your host Demon Ulysses, or Alpha Gamer on YouTube, and today we're going to be discussing crew skills. If you are new to the game and you wish to learn more about how to get better at aviation, feel free to subscribe and watch more tutorial videos. If you are experienced and have already know how to play the game and want to provide your own tips, you can also leave your situation down in the comments, what would be best suited for players for both console or PC. Now let's begin with this episode on crew skills, shall we? So crew skill is the experience and of course skill of your crew of your vehicle. So what this entirely means in the War Thunder gameplay is that the betterment of your skill of reaching to 5 max per each from pilot, defense, armament, and logistical services, it's basically increases the not statistics but the ability to perform better in both ground, naval, or aircrafts. Um, when it comes to aircrafts, there's like two things, well, three actually, for the pilot, defense, armament, and logistical service that you can worry about. If, let's say, it's ground, you have to worry about driver, gunner, tank commander, tank loader, radio operator, logistical. It takes a longer time, and especially for the ships too, it takes a little bit longer because you have to go through each 5 maximum stats on each categories, and not only that, it only stays within one crew, meaning let's say I go to the United States, I have a maximum of 75 of come on now, of the crew, which better stats my performance with keen vision, awareness, G-force, stamina, vitality, defense for like bombers, and logistical for repairs and weapon reloading, maintenance. Basically, I can barely get back into the game better if I return to airfield. I can pull sharper G's without blacking out a little bit. I'll explain more in detail about more of each of them specifically. So basically, aircraft or air vehicles crew skills are easier, by meaning that it's easier. I don't mean that the other gameplays with ground vehicles and navy vehicles are not fun in aspect, just that I just find it more comfortable, and plus it's kind of like what I really love to do when I play War Thunder a lot. But going back to the subject, it's pretty explanatory how the hell you want to play it, this game, really. So, with everything going on with these air vehicles, ground vehicles, and naval vehicles, in my opinion, I'd always stick with the aircrafts because, of course, it's fun, and it's just like easier to level up than having to go to the freaking ground vehicles and naval so much. But that's everyone's opinion on the matter. So it's again just how people play it. Now, let me go into detail of what the hell you earn these things. So with I mentioned that the crew skills are War Thunder's way of stimulating the experience of skill and gain by air, ground, and naval crew in combat missions, performing tasks, mission effectively. To earn them, there's like actually a difference. So when you go into this game mode selection, you got your simulator battles, realistical, and arcade. If you go for simulator and realistic battles, into the War Thunder Wikipedia, the number of points accrued for crew experience depends on the research points obtained in a battle, as well as game modes for the battle. In realistic and simulator battles, for every 100 research points, the player will receive 1 crew XP point, which will be distributed to the crew of the vehicle used. Meaning, in this theoretical aspect, if I fly this the Focke-Wulf 190-5, if I get more than 100 research points, I get 1 crew XP per battle, depending on how much I've earned from the research point. But if I go arcade mode, this is slightly better but different. Anyway, what I mean is, in arcade battles, every 100 research points will grant the players 3 crew XP points, which is a little faster, but there's a downside. But this higher rate also has a crew experience spread out among multiple crew. Meaning, instead of just one selected section for like realistic battle and simulator battles, in arcade, it is going to everything that's been involved, and where everything in crew's been incurred. So it's also a win-lose solution for you. So there's another way, which is called a cheat sheet, but which is practically you're just paying for it. It's called the accelerated training. Now, what this means is accelerated training is that if you want to get a fast and haste of this, you go up to here. In my case, it would be triangle. You have to pay with golden eagles to get a fast and haste. 1,000 golden eagles would accumulatively cost 1,000 eagle would be like $6.50 US dollars for this, but it depends vaguely on how you want to spend your money. But in my case, what I would do if you want to increasingly fast your skills, I think going arcade helps, but remember what I mentioned, that it distributes to every other aircraft. So you can try it that way, or stick with the realistic battles to stay onto this one category. So let's begin with explaining each of the crew skill category. Now, when you're into this pilot category skill, you got your keen vision, awareness, G tolerance, stamina, and vitality. Well, let's look at each of those specifics, okay? Keen vision. This skill affects the pilot's visual range in the direction he is looking, i.e. the maximum distance at which he can detect the enemy in front of him. The skill allows to increase the range of detection up to 2 times upon identical weather conditions, position of the sun, and altitude differences between the two aircrafts. Basically what it means here is that if I can detect any enemies which is farther direction of about 3 miles to 6 miles, if I looked very precisely where I'm looking at. If I go low, let's pick, come on, what's this, for example, it's the Nimrod. Since I have a very low cruise stat, let's look at it. As you can see, the parameter air-to-air missiles, launch detection delay, line of sight detection range is very less. So, going back to the United States maximum, I can detect everything easily. As you can see there, it's effectively made it better in hindsight. and it just makes the performance being again easier for my aircraft and my pilot. That way I can be able to determine what's the best course of action to decide. Now, with everything going on, it's best to stick with two things. A little bit, I'll just explain later what to do. That way you can get better performance, and then you can stick with the next category to level out. The next one, awareness. Awareness. This skill affects the range at which enemies are detected in the vicinity, around the vehicle but not directly in front of it. Thus, the higher the skill, the earlier the markers for enemies become visible. Just like the keen vision in supportness, it helps out where if anyone's on your tail, and of course with the sound of the enemy's engine and gunfire kind of helps, but it's going to be a little bit too late. But with this, what it does is it lights up your enemies being spotted if you look around like all over the place into up and down, your tail, left and right, instead of front. So it really helps out a lot, but sometimes you gotta depend on the sound. The next part, which is important, G tolerance. Tolerance of positive and negative G-force. In the mouse aim model, this skill affects control accuracy of the aircraft. This part is important for both props and jets. In jets, you are pulling way too much G-force. And if you pull too much G-force at a very high speed, not only will you black out, but you will also rip your wings. Back in the day, the ME-163, I was going way too fast, about maybe about 600 miles per hour in American metrics system, whatever. I whipped my wing, and it really sucks. So you have to go below the wing spectrum that your aircraft can handle to pull very smooth G-force. So G-force is very important. And stamina, which is the same thing with G4 tolerance, this skill allows the crew to resist fatigue for longer periods of time. Accuracy and G tolerance gradually decrease depending on the time spent in the session and the number of G-force sustained. In addition, the skill has an effect on aiming accuracy in mouse aiming mode. What this is, it suppresses the G tolerance blackout. Basically, if you, like I mentioned earlier, if you're about to begin to fade into blackout when you turn your aircraft, what you should do is that as that moment comes, pull back right where away from where you're turning just a little bit to give it a little bit of a rest, and it will cease that blackout. That will help out, give you retain that vision, and you can go back on target. I'll show you more in videos soon, which will happen now. Now with G tolerance and stamina, having those maxed, it really does make a lot of things easier for you. When you max it out, it retain your vision, and it keeps you from like locking out and kind of like fading, fatiguing. As you can see here, I was about to black out just a little bit with the withdrawal, but I stopped like turning, and I got my vision retained. With this scene, I'm being chased by two people that by launching a missile at me, you have to evade, since the 4C does not have any flares or countermeasures. So what I did is a little bit of maneuvers. It locks me out because I'm pulling too much G, as you can see here. Lost control, meaning I'll get very slow removal time, but however I got withdrawal. This will happen a lot if you have a lower stat of your G tolerance and your stamina. So it's important to always max out, and that's going back to what I suggest you guys to do if you're playing this for the first time. max out your G tolerance and your stamina first. Then work on your awareness and your vitality and keen vision. That way it helps out. It makes a lot of difference with stamina and G tolerance, right? It depends on how well you position your aircraft, like underbelly from being shot at. It's just depends on how well you should survive. Now, let's focus on defense armament. Defense armament is basically for your bombers, your ground attacker bombers, anything in the range that focus on bombing bases and ground pounding with a gunner. Number of experienced gunners. The number of experienced gunners, as you can see, the total of 10, that's the maximum. Right next to the top of that, it would say for F-4C Phantom 2, the number of gunners is 0. The reason why, I don't have a tail gunner, nor a waist gunner or belly gunner. The numbers of gunners experienced is, like I mentioned, it's how you're playing defenses. Like the Dauntless dive bomber, it has one gunner. The B-17 bomber, it has practically everything from tail, waist, top, funnel, belly, gunners. So it's really a useful team. And what the description is, the number of experienced gunners in the crew. If the aircraft has more gunners than the number of experienced gunners, the crew does not run out maximum performance. So it performs very well, and if you max out everything, it combines everything for those crew, like fire accuracy, accuracy of the aircraft gunner's fire, increases the traverse speed of a turret, increase the maximum burst length by up to 3 times, increase the distance at which gunners can start firing at a target by up to 275%, 55% in realistic battles and simulated battles. Increase the distance at which the target direction can be anticipated. Increase the chance of simultaneous fire in leading the target. Removes miscalculation in leading the target. It decreased by 7 times for RB/SB when researched completely. This skill only applies when the gunner is controlled by AI. Meaning, if you do it manual control, it will not apply, but the AI will take care of your situation or your pursuers, fighter interceptors in a better case, by AI control computers. So it depends on how well these AIs, gunners, can detect. It depends on how well they detect. So they just sit there on their ass, they don't fire at all, which is a pain in the ass, to be honest. So what you have to do is basically just do it for them, because they're lazy. So yeah, that's a downside for some of that. The next one, fire precision. This skill allows to reduce scattering of impact points of the gunners. Reduce scatter of the gun by 2.5 times, 2 times in RBSB. Increase the burst length by up to a third when fully researched. Increase the distance at which the gunners open fire in arcade battles by a marginal amount up to 8%. Increases the chance of simultaneous fire and leading the target, just like the fire accuracy. And just like fire accuracy, it applies to gunners controlled by AI. So if you do manual for both your accuracy and precision firing, you have to lead your targets yourself, which is tricky, tough, but it's kinda easy once you get the hang of it. Alright, the next subject. Alright, G tolerance and stamina and vitality. It's basically the same thing a pilot. It depends on how well they can handle G-force. So that part is easily discussed. Logistical services. Repair speed. Repair speed is the mechanic's skills, the rate at which the vehicle is repaired in the hangar, at the airfield, or at the port. Basically, if you're flying your aircraft, you're wounded, or you're trying to get it repaired as fast as possible, as you can see at the stats, it reduces repair time by up to 3 times when fully researched. In hangar repair time, total is 10 days, 15 base days. If I max it out, the top days would be 5 days and 5 hours. As seen here, the repair time would be 10 days, but since I maxed out, it would have been like possibly 5 days for that case if like literally it dropped down to total 10 for the F-4C Phantom for free, just for a single day though. But it's kind of wonky. But the main important thing is the minimum on-airfield repair time. It decreased the repair time from total of 20 down to top of 10. Basically, I can repair my aircraft in less than 20 seconds a little bit, than opposed to about 1 minute, which is, let me show you real quick, the Nimrod. It's not very good. If, let's say, if the Nimrod is very wounded, it will take about a minute. If, let's say, I don't have my landing gear, I have my wings kind of clipped out just a little bit on one of them, it really is helpful. It is. Okay, repair rank. The mechanic's skill, the maximum rank of vehicle that the mechanic can repair. Basically what this is basically, I'm assuming how fast it would do to get it repaired, I'm guessing, or basically, actually, hold on, repair rank, 7 rank, I think, hold on, I think it might be meaning that, the ranking system of your research, like choose 6 rank, choose 7 rank, I'm thinking that's where it falls down to. So it may intertwine both aspects of that. Anyways, reload speed. The armorer's skill increase the rate at which the weapons can reload on the air or in the field. Reduce the rearming time by 3 times for cannons and machine guns, 2 times for bombs, rockets, and torpedoes, and 4 times for turrets when fully researched. Basically, as you can see into the stats, the cannon in air reload time. This is for air RB, by the way, or arcade. So the in-air is for arcade. The on-air field reload is for your RB and SB, realistic simulator battles. So it's very good with realistic battles, but air RB, it kind of sucks, to be honest with you. It kind of sucks. It does. Moving on. And last but not least, weapon maintenance. Another armor skill increases the efficiency of the vehicle's weaponry. Reduces the overheating speed of the primary weapons, as well as the spread of bombs and rockets for aircraft. Reduces the chance of weapon jamming due to overheating by up to 3 times. Reduces the angular velocity of bombs, rockets, and torpedoes by up to 3 times, thereby significantly improving their accuracy. Now, I believe in one of my videos with gun conversion, conserving the ammos, and gun jamming, the weapon maintenance is very effective. Why? Is because it reduces the overheating speed, like where the reticle or where your sight's looking at, when that circle, that red circle fills up, it slows down if you max out. And with everything being discussed, my highest recommendation with maxing out for the first time is G tolerance and stamina. Next, go for a little bit of the repair section, and go for keen vision and everything for pilot. For bombers, do it last if you're doing a bomber gameplay, and stay with the same crew. It helps out a lot. Alrighty, this concludes the entire episode of aviation tutorials on crew skills. If you find this video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe for more tutorials or any of my gameplays in general if you want. If you want to leave suggestions of for players you want to get better at the game, you can leave it down to the description below in the comment section. More than happy to reply any that ask for help. But other than that, thank you for tuning in for this episode. My name is Demon Ulysses, or Alpha Gamer YouTube. Have a good day, friends.